What's your people plan for the year and years ahead? How has your people strategy changed to keep pace with the business? End-of-year reflection and next-year predictions call for additional and significant redesign of work and workplaces, and the restructuring of the workforce. What's ahead for workforce planning and sourcing talent from new talent marketplaces? Early indicators suggest it's another paradigm leap forward in the gig economy. In fact, did you know that gig economy and digital nomad were just officially added to the Merriam-Webster dictionary late this year? These and other colloquial terms are more conservatively categorized by Gartner and U.S. Department of Labor as key components of the contingent workforce. Gartner defines the contingent workforce as an on-demand workforce staffing strategy using contract workers, agency staffing, independent contractors, and people who will work directly for an enterprise on an on-call basis. Gig economy workers and digital nomads are subsets of the contingent workforce. Regardless of calling the contingent workforce phenomena by any other name, it has accelerated since the start of the pandemic. This is perhaps to the benefit of both workers and employers. For workers, the pandemic has been a catalyst for the Great Resignation, with a historic surge in U.S. business formation. Last year, applications to form new businesses, both sole proprietorships and businesses likely to hire and grow, reached unprecedented levels, with likely employer applications totaling around 1.5 million by year's end, or just over 210,400 more than in all of 2019. Entrepreneurial interest is even higher this year in 2021. With only a handful of days left in this unparalleled year, it now seems certain that the elevated pace of business formation in 2021 has surpassed the record-breaking total of 2020. For many, going out on one's own extends beyond a focus on money. It speaks to hopes of fulfilling promises of freedom, autonomy, flexibility, a sense of control, integrated work into the flow of family and life, thereby making work more meaningful and personal. It's the possibility of achieving a beautiful synchronicity between who you are and what you do. For organizations, leveraging the gig economy and elevating discussions of the contingent workforce to the C-suite can save an organization millions, give it a competitive edge in talent acquisition, especially specialized skills, play a major role in diversity and inclusion initiatives, ensure proper risk mitigation, and keep the enterprise nimble. For some, this new model of contingent work may seem a sudden and sharp departure from standard work arrangement, but truth be told, this shift has been decades in the making. Where and when did it start? How did this freelancing trend begin to break the entrenched worker and employer relationship? Where will this trend take us next? Good questions. To answer, let's walk through a timeline. Our timeline starts in 1997 with, then not yet published, aspiring book author Daniel Pink.
You get the idea for Free Agent Nation. When did that all come together, those three words?
Well, what happened was that I actually ended up becoming a free agent myself. After I left Al Gore's office, I decided that I would go out on my own and try to work for myself, because after a decade or so of holding a job, I said, this job thing gets a little bit old after a while. Maybe I can make the same amount of money, but have a slightly better life if I work for myself. So I moved from the White House to the third floor of our house in Washington, D.C., the Pink House, and ended up writing speeches and articles for a series of clients. Now, I was fortunate in that my wife had a job, and
That's a clip of Daniel Pink in an interview with Brian Lamb at C-SPAN in regards to how Dan left speechwriting at the White House to become a free agent and work for himself out of his home at the Pink House. It was this notion, this very personal experience in his professional life, that prompted Dan Pink in 1997 to chart a course as a freelance writer. His first self-assigned project. To explore this new life and way of working, by connecting with other freelancers. Dan's novel choice in direction became not only his very first book writing project, but the first ever study of the 25 million people in 1997 who worked, but not in the capacity of a traditional job or employee and employer relationship. Daniel Pink then spent the next 2 years with his wife and daughter traveling across the United States to meet with fellow freelancers and collect census data on what would become his first book, Free Agent Nation, a forerunner to today's Contingent Workforce. It's worthwhile to note that by the time Free Agent Nation was published in 2001, the free agent population had grown from 25 to 30 million people. Even by then, and even despite the dot-com bubble burst, 2 out of 3 workers in California did not hold traditional jobs. The permanent year-round, full-time outside-the-home employment arrangement that was and still is the basis of nearly all American labor laws and social assumptions. And by 2001, the largest private employer in the United States was no longer Detroit's General Motors, Ford Motor Company, or even Seattle's Microsoft or Amazon.com, but Milwaukee's Manpower Incorporated, a temporary staffing agency that was beginning to boom with the advent of information technology workers. Now we are 20 years forward from when Dan Pink first studied the free agent phenomena, to today, year-end 2021, where the global pandemic and the Great Resignation have become catalysts for accelerating the contingent workforce trajectory. We will have complete sets of contingent workforce data after this year comes to a close, but we know from earlier analyses that freelancers and the talent marketplaces that cater to them are well on their way to becoming a major part of the American workforce. In a 2020 report, an estimated 59 million Americans freelanced in the past 12 months, which is equivalent to 36% of the country's entire workforce. Since April this year, the U.S. labor force participation rate has been dropping, with people exiting the workforce in unprecedented numbers. According to recent research by Goldman Sachs, most are age 50 and older, some choosing retirement and others participating in the surge of new business creation as they strike out on their own. What about the future of work and the contingent workforce? In a survey conducted by Upwork and Edelman, the majority of the American workforce will be freelancing in the future. In fact, basing estimates on the annual growth rates from 2016 and 2017, if the growth rate is close to constant, and it's actually increasing, then projections forecast that more than 90 million Americans will be freelancing by the year 2028. That would mean more than half the U.S. workforce would be contingent workers. From 25 million free agents in 1997 to more than twice that in the contingent workforce today, to more than half the American workforce, more than 90 million people, leaving the traditional workforce to become contingent workers over the next 6 years. How does that affect your strategic workforce planning today? How does it change how you identify and source talent? What organizational policies, processes, and procedures will have to change to contract talent from modern talent marketplaces? How is it likely to impact your workforce composition tomorrow? How does it change learning and talent development incumbent workers, regardless of work arrangement? How does it affect talent retention strategies, internal mobility, and career progression? How might the transformation of the U.S. workforce to primarily contingent workers influence considerations about your own career? What about the future employment and work readiness of generations to come? Much to digest. Let us know your thoughts by leaving them below. Yay cake! This video was created by Trish Ewell. Let's connect. Thanks for watching.